States and around the world. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Breaking news this hour. The White House is doubling down on its denial that President Trump is considering or even discussing firing special counsel Robert Mueller. After launching a new tirade against the Russia investigation, the president could soon find himself face-to-face with Mueller or a member of his team. I'll get reaction from Senator Angus King. He's a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. And our correspondents and analysts are all standing by. First, let's go to our senior congressional correspondent, Manu Raju. He's up on Capitol Hill. Manu, we're learning more about the prospect that Mr. Trump will be interviewed by the special counsel's office. What's the latest?
Yeah, we've heard about a meeting that occurred between Trump attorneys and special counsel Mueller's investigators last week, where they discussed a range of topics to discuss as part of any potential interview with President Trump, including the firing of FBI Director James Comey and what the president knew about Sergei Kislyak, the former Russian ambassador's conversations with President Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. Now, we also know that the White House is eager to end this Mueller investigation, and a lot of Republicans are watching anxiously, even as the president warns. The White House tries to reassure them that special counsel Mueller will not be fired. Tonight, the White House insisting that special counsel Robert Mueller will not be fired, but once again calling for a swift end to the inquiry.
We have not been shy about the fact that there is frustration of this process. We would like it to end quickly and soon.
Trump himself has made no secret of his anger, launching a tweet storm lashing out at Mueller's investigation, repeatedly calling it a witch hunt. And then the president added a new attorney to his legal team, Joseph DeGeneva.
They plotted to ruin him.
Who has floated a conspiracy that Trump has been framed by the Justice Department. Breaking his silence, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell pushed back at Trump's attacks. Are you comfortable with the president going after the special counsel in such a direct way?
Well, look, I agree with the president's lawyers that Bob Mueller should be allowed to finish his job. I think it was an excellent appointment. I think he will lead, he will go wherever the facts lead him. And I think he will have great credibility with the American people when he reaches the conclusion of this investigation.
Now, one prominent Republican telling Hugh Hewitt that the firing of Mueller could be an impeachable offense.
If the president fired Robert Mueller, do you think that would be an impeachable offense?
Probably so, if he did it without cause, yeah. I think what the president will have done is stopped an investigation into whether or not his campaign colluded with the Russians, what effect the Russians had on the 2016 campaign. I can't see it being anything other than a corrupt purpose.
Still, McConnell and many other Republicans said today they saw no need to pass legislation to protect Mueller, something that might antagonize the president.
It's just not necessary. It's not necessary. I don't believe the president will fire him.
Yesterday he said you don't think it's necessary to pick that fight. What did you mean by that?
Pick unnecessary fights. I pick only necessary fights.
Other Republicans downplayed the president's escalating attacks against Mueller. Do you think the president should back off in any way?
You know, I've said this before. I have enough trouble paddling my own canoe. I think the Mueller issue is really more of a tempest in the teapot. I know what the president said, but what counts is what he does. And I don't think Mr. Mueller will be terminated.
And the House Speaker himself said he'd gotten assurances Trump won't fire Mueller, but declined to say from whom.
The special counsel should be free to follow through his investigation to its completion without interference. I've received assurances that his firing is not even under consideration.
Now, Wolf, there's been a push by some members to include the legislation to protect Robert Mueller in this must-pass spending bill that would clear Congress by the end of the week in order to keep the government open. But what's become very clear that there's no real effort and no appetite among Republican leaders to add that in there is they hope the president won't fire Robert Mueller. They don't know for sure whether he will. No one really knows, but they're just hoping right now he does not take that step, because if he does do that, it could prompt a major revolt on Capitol Hill, but the president may not really care, Wolf.
All right, Manu, thanks very much. Manu Raju up on Capitol Hill. We're also following breaking news on the exploding scandal surrounding a data firm that worked for President Trump's 2016 campaign. Cambridge Analytica already is under investigation for its use of Facebook users' information. Now, officials with the firm have been caught on camera boasting about their role in Mr. Trump's campaign, claiming their work was integral in winning the election and suggesting laws may have been broken. Let's bring in our political correspondent, Sarah Murray. She's working the story for us. Sarah, you have some new revelations about this undercover effort to find out what was going on.
Well, that's right, Wolf. Obviously, we know that this is a firm that's already been under plenty of scrutiny, but it goes further in this latest undercover video that came out, suggesting that perhaps Cambridge Analytica may have played some kind of role in coordination between the Trump campaign and outside groups, so it could be potentially illegal, but also shedding light on some of the firm's business practices. And of course, the big question here is, how important was Cambridge Analytica to the Trump campaign? Were they just a bit player, or were they essential to Trump's victory? Tonight, they're taking plenty of credit.
Top executives at Cambridge Analytica, the controversial data firm hired by Donald Trump's presidential campaign, now appear to be taking credit for Trump's stunning 2016 victory.
Have you met Mr. Trump? Many times. You have? We did all the research, all the data, all the analytics, all the targeting. We ran all the digital campaign, the television campaign, and our data informed all the strategy.
An undercover interview by Channel 4 News in London shows Cambridge executives, including CEO Alexander Nix, boasting about the company's role in Trump's win, and even claiming the firm created the slogan, "Defeat Crooked Hillary," a Trump campaign staple.
Crooked Hillary, right? Crooked. She's crooked as you can be.
In the past, Nix has also claimed his company's data led the Trump campaign to victory in Wisconsin, a state no Republican presidential candidate had won since Ronald Reagan in 1984.
We were able to use data to identify that there was very large quantities of persuadable voters there that could be influenced to vote for the Trump campaign. And so much so, the Trump campaign had 5 rallies there. Those 5 rallies probably gave Trump contact with some 60 or 70,000 voters.
Former Trump campaign officials are disputing that Cambridge played a major role. They say the campaign never used the firm for voter targeting or persuasion. One person familiar with the arrangement said Cambridge provided some polling, which helped the campaign decide where to invest its resources. Cambridge also used data provided by the Republican National Committee to build visualization tools to help decide where to send Trump for campaign rallies. All told, the Trump campaign paid Cambridge less than $6 million for its services throughout the campaign. The series of undercover interviews by Channel 4 News also caught Nix on tape talking about potential bribery and entrapment. Tonight, Cambridge Analytica has suspended its CEO and launched an independent investigation, saying Mr. Nix's recent comments, secretly recorded by Channel 4, and other allegations do not represent the values or operations of the firm, and his suspension reflects the seriousness with which we view this violation. The firm has come under fire in recent days for questionable data practices. That's after it came to light that a Russian-American researcher provided data on tens of millions of Americans to Cambridge's parent company. The data was supposed to be collected for research purposes, but it may have been used to influence American voters. During the 2016 presidential campaign, Nix was peddling a so-called psychographic model. It relied on data sets, including from Facebook, to model someone's personality type and how they could best be swayed, according to people who saw the presentation. Trump campaign officials have long claimed they never bought into that model.
No, I don't believe it's sinister.
No. Okay. You just don't think it works.
I just don't